Hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, Redux version, normal difficulty. I'm your host, Colors Fade, and it is Lucky episode 69. We're ready to go into the House of Silken Shadows. Let's see how this all shakes out. I'm going to make a hard save here because I can't remember exactly what happens after this point. Alright, so that save is done. Let's see what happens. Nocticula's thing there. Just got a statue. Gonna go further in. Just got a fancy floor there that's made out of cracked glass. We're standing on it. That's not good. Oh, look who's here. It's a Rilu Vorlesh. A stately shadow comes towards you. In its hands, a small mirror sparkles and shimmers with an unsettling light. I came to speak to Nocticula, not you.
All in good time. You will have your meeting with the Lady in Shadow. But first, there is something else. You have walked a long path. One where shadows constantly flicker at the edge of your vision, and questions multiply like flies above carrion. It is time for answers. At least, some of them.
Oh, really? What do we have here? Oh, yes, she's going to show us the beginnings.
Day 16, Aridus 4715. Experiment, transformation. Subject, let's skip that. Objective, to embed the essence of a Nahindrian crystal in the soul of the subject. Expected result, the essence will coalesce with the subject's soul, which will ready itself for total transformation, triggering the concomitant powers. The time has come to put my plan into action.
Us at the very beginning.
You are my creation. Your power was my gift. Now you know.
Now we know who gave us all of our power. Oh, wow. You know what's really interesting? I'm only going to take a second here to pontificate on this, but isn't it interesting how all computer role-playing games assume that people have souls, and they make it a really big part of their world building? This game and my favorite, Pillars of Eternity, the whole thing is built around the concept of a soul. Can somebody please someday make a CRPG where atheists is normal for the rest of us? That'd be great. I think that would be really cool. Anyway, off my soapbox.
You are asking the right questions, but the time has not yet come.
I think that would be a really, really interesting game and a really interesting world building exercise if somebody made a game where there was no concept of a soul. Actually, a game with no gods would also be really great. That'd be fantastic. The hand of the inheritor says, the unseen angel does not speak, but his silence seems to thunder in your ears. Really? Okay.
Your power is of the same kind as that of Nulkineth, Jerrybeth, and the other demons that you have met. The power of the Nahindrian crystal dissolved into the blood lies within your soul. I have already hinted at this to you once before, when I left the essence along with the Lexicon of Paradox in my old laboratory, and ordered the suture to make sure the gift found its way into your hands. But there is more. Do you remember when you were taken to Canabris with a wound that would not heal? Do you remember how Terendelev apparently healed you? That was merely an illusion. The dragon was only able to temporarily dull the pain. In fact, it was I who saved you, when I came to you in the caves and implanted a crystal within you. No, saved is not the right word. Your wound is still not healed. That is why your wound weeps blood from time to time. every drop of which burns your enemies.
As if to confirm her words, blood begins to seep from the wound on your chest. Eerie flames seem to dance within the crimson drops.
This is pure essence of Nahindrian crystal. My invention is far superior to the crystals used by Xanther, which were barely refined at all. It will give you new strength, and help you to overcome the wound that still slumbers within your soul. Take it. Take it, and you will see that this is the very power that has lived in you since the Battle of Canobris.
I won't eat out of your hand, Arilu, even if it makes me weaker. You channel all your power into these words, and strangely, you feel a surge of power within you in response. You turn down what Arilu Vorlesh offered you, and your whole being embraces that choice. A wave of cold washes over your chest, and the open wound becomes smaller, as if your decision compelled it to shrink.
That effect, how unexpected. It deserves to be studied, but I will see to that later.
Enough! Enough of this madness! I was blind. O Lady of Heaven, how blind I was. I saw holiness in the half-fiend's creation. All your valiant deeds, your resistance in the face of temptation, it was all a deception? Curse the Abyss, and curse Elushanira, where even the most faithful lose their way, and lie, and commit treason! I must save those who can be saved, and break free from the kingdom of darkness!
We still have something to discuss.
Oh, really? The Lich, Zacharias, performed a powerful ritual on me, but he could not extract my soul. It was too strong. What's happening to me?
It is undoubtedly due to the influence of the Nahindrian crystal that I implanted in you. It is not surprising that your soul is strong. It is mixed with the spiritual essence of a demon lord, and a very powerful one at that. I am uncertain whether your soul could ever be ripped from your body, although I would advise against putting it to the test. However, you have the right to find your own way, and to test the limits of your power as much as you wish.
What is this wound in my soul? How dangerous is it?
It was my mistake. My failure. I failed to... The tale is too long to recount here. Your wound is a reflection of the world wound, in a way. It is very dangerous, even if you do not yet realize it. It is not a disease, but rather an abscess, which will one day burst and kill you. It cannot fully be healed until the world wound is healed.
Oh, so we are linked.
No doubt you have felt this affliction on several occasions. It awakens when you use your power. It makes you sense more strongly what mortals call the corruption of the Abyss. Until the world wound is healed, you will have no peace.
I see. It's strange to see you here in Nocticula's palace. Who do you really serve? Discari? Baphomet?
Both. And neither. I have served both Discari and Baphomet, and not merely as the lowest in the pecking order. But I do not think you'll be surprised when I tell you that to me, both of these mighty lords are merely convenient temporary sources of power. And their time is almost at an end. But the Lady in Shadow is different. She is the preeminent ruler. Soon you will understand this for yourself.
My power is different from that of Jerabeth and Nulkineth and the other demons.
Yes, because I taught Xanther and the other servants of Baphomet and Discari the earliest version of this transformation ritual. I spent decades perfecting it until I obtained the power that I gave to you. Power in its most purified form, cleansed of the filth and chaos inherent within the original blood of the demon lords. Your power is as pure as thrice distilled water. But it resonates with other powerful sources of supernatural power, such as the Sword of Valor. And your power can change. You must have realized this already. You have shaped my gift into a form that you yourself have chosen.
All right, then.
Are you sure you are ready to hear the answer to that? To understand my intentions, you must understand everything else first. So think. Are there any other gaps in your knowledge?
Fine. Tell me about the Nahindrian Crystals. Start from the beginning.
Nahindrian Crystals are formed from the solidified blood of demon lords. Their properties are not well known, even among the inhabitants of the Abyss. And there are reasons for this. Acquiring the blood of a dead demon lord is very difficult. After a demon lord dies, their body is instantly absorbed into the Rift of Repose. Only the Lady in Shadow knows how to kill them in a way that allows her to preserve the bodies of her fellow lords and transform them into a solid state. That means that Nahindrian crystals cannot be obtained anywhere other than the Midnight Isles. Or rather, it was impossible until recently, when I managed to experimentally obtain a crystal from the blood of a still living lord. You saw the result. A dagger made from Discari's freshly shed blood, which I left for you in Canabris. As regards the use of the crystals, that is a discussion that would take time, a very long time. Someday I will finish my groundbreaking treatise on the transformation of Nahindrian crystals, although it is unlikely I will ever publish it.
Yes, someone will have to pull it from your cold, dead corpse. So you figured out how to use these crystals to imbue living creatures with power.
Not just any creatures. Demons. And half-demons. The soul must have a stable connection with the Abyss in order for it to receive the power of the crystal. Experiments involving tieflings and mongrels failed because the voice of the Abyss was not strong enough within them.
But I'm not a demon.
I wasn't a demon either when I started. But there are always ways to circumvent, or even to override the laws of the universe.
Because the plot always requires such devices.
I changed myself by knitting my soul together with the essence of the Abyss. And I changed you. Do you remember the fits of rage that began shortly after Discari's attack on Canabris? This is how the second half of your soul manifested itself. Not yet fully aware. Not yet awakened. It's a pity you did not choose to let your demonic nature take hold. The result would have been most impressive.
It is probably a playthrough I'll do sometime as the demon one, just to see what it's like. There are so many different mythic paths here. But again, the whole deal with the souls, it's just, I'd like to see a game without them sometime. You know, blood. Blood is a physical thing. Blood, muscle, and sinew and tissue. Let's make a game about those things, and leave the souls out of it.
All those arrogant crusaders, those knights with their eyes ablaze, those pious priests. They have installed at the head of their magnificent army a scion of the Abyss, the creation of the architect of the world wound, whom they so revile.
You know what's really funny about this whole thing is this story is about to really reveal itself, and it is the story of Cyberpunk 2077. That's right. It's the same story, basically. You followed me.
Of course. I even kept notes. I began my observations long before our meeting in Canabris. You were chosen and prepared for a special destiny.
My mother always did say I was special.
Aside from this, I helped you, even when you were unaware of my presence. I saved you and your unfortunate companions when you fell into the crevice in Canabris.
Aren't you just the sweetest little fairy godmother?
In the Grey Garrison, it was I who distracted Minago to allow you to approach the Wardstone. And in Dresden, I appeared under the guise of Yoniel to guide you toward the Sword of Valor.
And now we have reached one of the dumbest and weakest plot points in all of story writing. The whole, I did it, so that everything that you think you did didn't really happen that way because it was me. That is the complete loss of player agency, by the way, which just stinks.
And I also left you a present in my old laboratory, and told the Suture to see that you received it. I knew that sooner or later you would find your way there. That place exerts a powerful pull.
Computer role-playing games, so beautifully awesome. Look at the art. It's so much fun to play with their many classes and weapons and spells and skills and feats and talents. And then we get to the writing of the plot, and we're going to center it on souls, and we're going to use plot devices that make everything that happened before basically meaningless because it was all orchestrated. You are the chosen one, and everything has been done because I made it so. Not because you actually did anything, player. All you had to do was avoid dying, and I helped you with that too, by the way. I mean, come on. Alright, well, in that case, thanks for your help. You should help me out more often.
Certainly, but do not expect me to solve all your problems. A child that is forever carried in its mother's arms will never learn to walk.
Alright, why was that whole ploy with the lab necessary? You were ready to sacrifice your servant, the Suture, for
You
it.
always have to sacrifice something. I wanted you to go to the laboratory to see with your own eyes what I had been doing and what I am capable of, so it would be easier for you to accept the truth. The laboratory is the place where I prepared your ascent. And the Suture was the only one who I could trust to execute my plan and explain everything. After all, he too once experienced rebirth at my hands. And that is why I was willing to risk his life.
Speaking of Suture, he is currently being held captive by Hepzibah. I saw her by him at the flesh market.
I don't understand why you felt the need to tell me that.
I'm hoping maybe you have a heart and you'll feel sorry for the little fellow. Alright, well, it would be better. Yes, it would be. If you just told me everything instead of playing mind games.
Knowledge gained independently through research and experimentation is far more valuable than knowledge that is simply given. That is why I wanted you to go to the laboratory yourself. I just gave you a nudge in the right direction.
Translation, we had to make it overly complicated because simple just wouldn't work.
You are seeking answers, trying to understand the crux of the matter. That is good.
Oh yes, thank you, teacher. Please whip me some more.
I want to help you close the world wound.
Really? Okay. Oh my gosh. I love Nocticula. Her character art is fantastic. But it's funny because Aurelia's story really is in a very similar way. It's the same story as Cyberpunk 2077, which is also in a way a very similar story to the story in Baldur's Gate 2. They're all interconnected. They're all the same kind of story. I guess I'm just a little, I don't know, burned out on it maybe. Aurelia's words are cut off by a quiet laugh. Sitting on the throne that was empty just a moment ago is none other than Nocticula, ruler of Illusionera in the Midnight Isles, a powerful demon lord, and the one they call Our Lady in Shadow. Her red lips curl into an ironic smile, and her large eyes observe you with keen interest.
You were about to say, we are going to close the world wound, weren't you, Aurelia? I see no reason to continue deceiving this mortal. Now I am convinced that he is quite worthy of serving me. I will even reward him with a modicum of knowledge about the events in which he is about to take part.
Okay. Now, that's fun. My greetings.
Such an impenetrable face you have, mortal. It hides your heart well. I have had my eye on you for a very long time. You see, It was at my behest that Lady Vorlesh imbued you with such incredible powers. But I was curious to see your worth as an individual, not as Lady Vorlesh's creation. Thus, I decided to postpone our meeting and see how you'd fare in Alashanira, and whether or not you could win respect and power among those not so easily impressed by outstanding magical abilities. Well, you've passed my test adequately by proving that your character and your will are stronger than the Nahindrian powers Lady Vorlesh has vested in you.
You are wise, my lady. However, only those who have never known or forgotten what it is like to be mortal can so easily dismiss the importance of power. To be someone whose life is fragile and can be cut short at any moment, like a candle snuffed out by a gust of wind.
It is a shame your angel has left you, mortal. I would have liked to talk to him. I don't expect I will get another chance, as that celestial buffoon's days are numbered. He's an interesting little bird, that angel. Before he became the Herald of Iomade, he served Regathiel, the General of Vengeance. I've always found the fate of that Imperial Lord to be quite fascinating. Did you know that the father of the Upper Plains' top military leader was a devil from hell? Regathiel had to achieve many feats to redeem his unholy legacy in the eyes of the other Imperial Lords. But he did. A remarkable tale, is it not?
Redemption. Your conversation is interrupted by a concerned-looking succubus who silently approaches Nocticula and begins fervently whispering in her ear. Nocticula's expression turns hard and cold. As Nocticula ponders the new development, the messenger makes eyes at you playfully. You recognize those green eyes, except they were awash with pain when you last saw them, their owner bleeding out in the caverns of the Nexus. The succubus smiles slyly and gives you a wink.
Another island, another loss. Enough! I warned them that I would not stand for the desolation of my realm. They have not heeded me, and they will regret it. Go to your sisters and tell them to prepare. But I digress. Let us continue. I have prepared a beautiful intrigue that will topple many of your enemies and seal the world wound forever, ending the threat to Galarian. And you have the chance to become part of that intrigue.
My companion, Ember, would like to speak with you.
Ember? So that's her then? Well, approach. I have heard you bleating your pathetic prayers at me. You have some nerve addressing me with such nonsense. Did you think I would simply repent? Renounce my status as a demon lord? Do you have any idea what I had to do to acquire it? Wait, what is this?
Tears are rolling down Ember's cheeks as she sniffles noisily. She presses her maimed hand against her heart as she stares up at Nocticula. Her fragile form shudders from weeping. Rilo wrinkles her nose in disdain. Why have you brought this simpleton here? This is Alushanira, not Nerosian. We don't give alms here.
I can't stand these noises. Do you think you're the first to try to move me with a display of tears? It only makes me angry. If you wish to speak, then wipe your nose and speak clearly.
I know what you had to do to others and to yourself. I'm so sorry. So sorry. If only I could ease your pain somehow. Calm your sorrows.
So, where were we? My pain? My sorrows? What nonsense are you talking? Don't tell me you pity me.
I'm so sorry. You're the most miserable soul I've ever seen. I've seen people burned alive. People being devoured by monsters. People burying their children. They were in pain. So much pain. But I've never seen anyone in as much pain as you.
What is this saccharine drivel? What do you even know of me, Nat?
I've seen your city. You were the one who built it. It is the way you wanted it to be. It holds all of your dreams, all of your heart, and everyone in this city is suffering. Everywhere, all the time, every minute. All who live here are hurting and scared. If these are its citizens, how miserable must its ruler feel?
And this is what you brought her to me for. You think this infantile sniveling is worthy of my attention?
I've seen the truth of her wisdom more than once. Perhaps it would benefit you to listen to her as well.
As if I hadn't seen enough sanctimonious bores in my life. So, what do you suggest I do, preacher? Beg the good gods' forgiveness? Devote myself to serving a sword-swinging upstart, perchance? Or that old crone, the moon?
No. Gods can't help anyone. They're just like us mortals. Silly, frightened, clueless. You're almost a goddess yourself. You know better than anyone that no one can save you. No one except you.
Save me? From what exactly?
From yourself. From what you've done to yourself. From the city you've imprisoned yourself in. Listen! You are a queen, but you're the queen of pain and filth. Your realm is a realm of your own suffering. You're almost a goddess. You can do anything you want. So why won't you make yourself happy? You could become the Redeemer Queen.
Oh, the Redeemer Queen! That's new. Never in all my years have I heard anything like that. Well, child, enough joking. Get out of my sight, or I'm afraid I might decide to keep you here forever as my fool.
Do you think she took my words to heart?
Doubt it.
I still hope she did, though.
Nocticula wouldn't become the Redeemer Queen because that would require far too much work on her own part. That requires effort.
I told you to get out! I don't want to hear your squeaky voice again!
I wish to inform you of treason. Is that so? Who is it you've decided to inform on? And more importantly, how did you learn in these traitors? And how credible are these accusations? A friend of mine, the storyteller, has peered into the future. In his vision, Hebsamira was sending demons after you. Demons were strengthened by Nahindrian Crystals. You are a font of knowledge, my dear guest. Let's just say I'm not surprised by her appetites. The ambitions of that brat, or her lecherous goat of a sire, were bound to surface sooner or later. But your warning will encourage me to keep a closer eye on her. You could have gone to Hebsamira with this and received a payment for your silence. Your foresight must not go unrewarded. Shamira is researching the Nahindrian Crystals in secret. Perhaps she is planning to overthrow you. How nice of you to warn me. I'm impressed. I do wonder, however, did you really think I was unaware of this, or did you merely want to demonstrate your loyalty? Either way, I appreciate you telling me. I will take this as proof that I can rely on you. You were very astute to uncover Shamira's desire to dethrone me. It was particularly sensible of you to keep your mouth shut about the secrets of the Nahindrian Crystals. I suppose your caution calls for a reward aspect of the asp. Mining Nahindrian Crystals is a surefire way to sink the island the crystals are on to the bottom of the Ishiar. I assume you understand why all who attempted to procure them on Alinthia were executed. At least, you didn't tell Shamira about the mines you found. The last thing I need is the ardent dream burrowing under my capital. Why do you still tolerate Shamira? Someone has to deal with trivial matters. Shamira's betrayal was assured the moment I made her my favorite, just as Zephorian's before her. The second always dreams of rising to be the first. I know the feeling well. I killed Melodius, your court mage. I'm aware of this, of course. It is lamentable in a way, since his fear of me was strong enough to make him impeccably loyal. However, his death is but a single move in a much larger game. In games like this, losing a few pawns is unavoidable. I see. Well, I want to know more about you. Recounting my whole story would take longer than your brief mortal life allows. The list of demon lords I've slain is endless on its own, and is the number of islands under my rule. And that's just the past. There's also my future. What do you plan to do next? Subdue all the Abyss? Possibly. Or perhaps I have something grander in mind. The Abyss. Who cares about the Abyss? Are the Midnight Isles really the corpses of slain demon lords? Yes, my realm was quite literally built on the bones of my slain enemies. Ironic, isn't it? How did you turn the dead demon lords into islands? Nocticula responds with a mocking smile. Surely you don't expect me to reveal the secret to you. There is no need for mortals to learn the weaknesses of demon lords. All I can say is that everything started with my desire for revenge. After I had dealt with Nahindri, I was furious at the thought of that vile, lecherous wretch just teleporting over to the Rift of Repose, where he could turn to stone and stay there to rot for the remainder of eternity. I wanted to trample his foul corpse to keep his bloodied body within my sight forever. I yearned to display my glorious trophy to all of the Abyss, and that's when my power first manifested. I studied my newfound abilities and learned how to use them, and before long I possessed not just one island, but an entire archipelago. It's always nice to indulge one's curiosity. Okay, so I apparently have to do all these things. I want to ask you about other powerful denizens of the Abyss. Are you interested in one of my servants, or do you wish for me to tell you something about your enemies? Okay. Do you remember the elven archmage who used to serve you thousands of years ago? He is still alive. We know each other. Really? He was well past his youth even back then, and now? Just how old is he? Can mortals even live that long? Well, apart from your immortal Aslanti. Say hello to him on behalf of the Lady in Shadow and tell him that the one who replaced him has disappointed me immensely with his incompetence. No matter how hard he tried, he could never live up to my magnificent oath. You know, you've managed to surprise me. A rare occurrence for someone who knows just about everything. Did Rilu really create me? She has certainly had a hand in your present state of existence. Lady Volesh designed the world wound, a magical phenomenon of unfathomable power. To seal it, we require a key that was just as strong and unique. Simply put, we required a champion, and she chose you. Both your powers and that wound on your chest were the result of her experiments when she infused your soul with the essence of the Abyss. Of course, you remember none of that. Everything was done in secret. Even the power granted to you was purified, to the extent that it was possible, so that you would not guess its source ahead of time. In trial after trial, we watched your will be tempered, and when the time came, we started filling you with the energies of Nahindrian Crystals. These energies are necessary for the task at hand. Everything that's happened to you was part of my intrigue. I was going to summon you and reveal the truth when the time was right. Instead, you have followed your queen's orders and arrived here early. One can only hope that you are prepared to accept the truth. Everything has a price, Rilu says quickly. Your wound was, in essence, the flip side of all my experiments. There was a reason why we required a true champion, not merely a living tool whom we could fling into the flames of the world wound and close it like any lesser rift. I think you should know that. Nocticula makes a sudden gesture, cutting Rilu off. Don't be too hasty. We have burned him with enough revelations for now. Give him time to become accustomed to the truth about himself, and then you can share all the details. What exactly are you offering me? I'm offering you the chance to become my weapon. Your enemies are a thorn in my side as well as yours. What's more, I have never schemed against Galarian, nor have my warriors taken part in the conquest of your plane, at least not at my behest. There is no cause for enmity between us. Why would you want to close the wound? When the world wound opened, I was pleased. My realm was now connected to another plane. I wanted to make it into a crossroads of worlds, a place where demons, devils, and even angels could meet. The wound was a convenient path along which I could advance my ideas, but the Midnight Isles were not the only realm that had been linked to Golarion through the wound. Discari and Baphomet now also had a way from their realms into your plane. Their servants flooded my islands and spread out across them like a plague of locusts, killing guests who were under my protection, questioning my rule. They were driven by their lust to conquer and enslave, whether on Golarion or in another abyssal realm. I was forced to shift my focus and express my discontent. Eventually, atop the bones of our servants, we reached an accord. I would let their armies pass, and they would comply with my wishes while on my islands. Of course, the accord is a polite fiction. Both the Descarites and the Baphomets are attempting to amass the power and influence in Illusionera to overthrow me, and when they think I'm not watching, they break my taboos and revel in their own impudence. And worst of all, Lady Vorlash told them about the Nahindrian Crystals. They realize what kind of power the crystals hold, and now they are determined to mine every last deposit hidden within my islands. And once an island loses its crystals, it becomes nothing but flotsam, slowly sinking into the dark waters of Ishiar. With every lost island, my power is diminished. I could start a war and kill the plunderers, but a major conflict would hinder some of my other plans. So instead, I will teach my neighbors a lesson by orchestrating their ignominious defeat at the hands of a mortal. If you're so powerful, why do you need me? If I were to make a move myself, it would start a war. Not that I'd be afraid of doing so, but it would hamper my more important plans. Baphomet and Discari could never best me, but they could sow enough chaos and spill enough blood that visitors from other planes would shudder at the mention of Illusionera. No. I will wage war on my own terms, in the shadows, and I will remain unseen until I drive my blade into my enemy's back. And since Galfrey happens to send you to my realm, you have the honor of becoming my blade, mortal. Be glad you're wielded by skillful hands. We should also reveal exactly how our blade will be employed. Nocticulus silences Aurelia with a sharp gesture. We can discuss the details later when the moment is right. Now is not the time for idle conversation. What do I gain by serving you? A reasonable question. One must always serve one's own interests. Well, rest assured that you will be adequately rewarded. I will give you gifts befitting your ambitions, and my patronage, which you can certainly count on, will prove more valuable than any enchanted trinkets you could dream up. How exactly do you plan to close the world? She rolls her eyes. It is a complicated magical process. Of course it is. You will receive precise instructions once you've captured the Threshold Fortress on Golarion. There, at the exact spot where Lady Vorlash opened the Whirlwind, you will be able to close it. But first you'll have to crush the Guardians of Threshold, and their forces are growing by the day. Hepzimira, Baphomet's daughter, is mining a large number of Nahindrian Crystals in my realm. These crystals are her secret weapon. No army in Golarion can stand against them. You must stop Hepzimira. If you do not, your world will fall and my plans will suffer significant harm. At one time, I disclosed the secret of transformation to two servants of Baphomet and Discari, Xanther Vang and Mutasafan. It was a well-calculated gambit which bought us time and assured both Discari and Baphomet of my loyalty. Mutasafan is Hepzimira's favorite. He oversees the transformation of her army. Hepzimira is currently on another island far from here. The route to that place is plagued by pirates, monsters, tempests, and other more terrifying dangers. Have you heard of the living bubbles of frozen time that swallow airships, and when the ships reach port, their crews discover they've been gone for 100 years? That is not the strangest occurrence you could encounter on your journey. I am willing to provide you with a decent ship and an experienced crew. If you kill Hepzimira, it will stop her sinking any more on my islands, but without giving Baphomet cause to declare war on me. Okay. Discari and Baphomet won't just stand there and watch you close the Whirlwind. They'll send their armies after you. So you will need an army of your own, and that is something the Crusaders won't have for long. Hepzimira is mining more and more Nahindrian Crystals to empower her forces when she attacks Golarion. And if you don't stop her, the Crusader resistance will be crushed, and the ranks of demons pouring through the Whirlwind into your world will multiply 100-fold. You were sent here to cut off the demon army's supply of Nahindrian Crystals, weren't you? Well, that's exactly what you're going to accomplish. Alright. And accept it, of course. Accept the offer. I respect your caution and won't force you into submission. We all stand to gain if you do my bidding of your own volition. glimmer of approval dances in Nocticula's eyes. An interesting destiny lies before you, mortal. You will rise to great heights and play a part in events of titanic proportions. Many would give their life for a chance to tread such a path. Hepzibah visits the Lucianera every now and again, but her true lair is far from here. She hides on the island of Caulifere to the northwest of my archipelago. There lies her secret fortress. In the deep mines, her slaves dig Nahindrian crystals for the invading army she plans to bring to Golarion. I will give you a magnificent airship and an experienced crew to take you there. It will be a long and perilous journey. Take some time to prepare. If I am to depart for Caulifere, your guards must watch over my camp in the Nexus and all who are residing there. I will send my assassins to ensure that no harm comes to your entourage. Be grateful for my patronage, mortal. Alright then, I've got nothing left here. I'm ready to hunt down Hepzibah. Aurelu, you are no longer needed here. As you will, my lady. Nocticula casts a piercing glance at the spot where Aurelu was but a moment ago, then stops you with a commanding gesture. There was one more thing we must discuss. The Lexicon of Paradox. Lady Vorlesh's magical treatise on that contains the many secrets of the world wound. You and my servant, Lady Vorlesh, were just talking about the Lexicon of Paradox. For many years, it has remained split in half, harmless. But what was once divided can be made whole again. Who knows what power the book can impart to its owner? What if they expand the world wound even further, or connect it to other planes? Not a chance. The Lexicon of Paradox has caused more than enough trouble already. You already possess the first half of the book. Find the other one and bring them both to me. I will reward you handsomely. Giving the book into my keeping will also protect Golarion from suffering a second world wound disaster. The Lexicon of Paradox will be much safer under my watchful eye than in your travel bags, wouldn't you agree? Why do you need the book? One world wound alone has been enough of a nuisance for me. I want to ensure that some future mage leafing through this book doesn't link my realm to another plane. Fine, I'll consider your offer. The reward will not disappoint you, I promise. This dangerous knowledge ought to be locked up securely. I won't keep you any longer. Fine, then. Send me. I hope you are well prepared. Have you brought your strongest companions? On your journey, they will be the only ones you can rely on. You will receive no reinforcements, and you will not see those you leave behind on Olympia for a very long time. Don't dismiss the importance of preparing for this mission. When you're ready, step into this portal and it will take you to my airship. The captain and crew have already received their instructions. And good luck to you, mortal. An extraordinary adventure awaits you. So, there's a portal, and that's where we go. I see. Wow, and we made a mythic level on everybody. Okay. Well then. Goodness, let's do some of that, shall we? Well, in that case, let's start with this person. Our paladin. Oh, and what's he gets mythic. Okay. Oh my goodness. Let's take a look. Okay, so for the cleric, what we're going to do is extra mythic ability instead of any of these other choices, because none of these things are anything that I really want. Extra mythic ability because I want abundant casting, greater abundant casting. So grab that. More spells for him. And it's basically going to be that way. Let's see for... Here's a brown for a transmuter. Yeah, Archmage armor, 2 weapon fighting. There's so many things we could give her, but she could get improved critical. There's a bunch of stuff here. Oh my gosh, weapon specialization, but we need weapon specialization. Let's see. Yeah, improved critical mythic for the short sword. You could take that, or you could give her greater abundant casting too. We'll do that. More spells. Me, well, let's hold on. Let's wait on me. Let's do her. She has Archmage armor, abundant casting, which is the only thing she needs, unrelenting assault, weapon specialization, mythic, improved critical, Okay, so anything that's going to allow her to do more damage would be great. She'd give Mythic Sneak Attacker, and she could do more damage that way. Weapon Focus Mythic on the Fast Shard. You double the bonuses to your attack rolls from Weapon Focus. Yes, let's just make sure that she's hitting things very hard. Our frontline fighter. You can give him Shield Focus. You add your shield bonus to your shield's enhancement bonus to your touch AC. I'm not as concerned about that. Let's see, what does he have? Rupture Restraints, Last Stand, Unstoppable. What extra mythic ability might be really good for him? He doesn't have Archmage Armor, so that doesn't matter. I like this one, especially for him. As long as you keep fighting, the power of your melee attacks keeps growing every turn. As long as you make at least one melee attack, you gain a stacking and +2 bonus on damage rolls with the melee weapon. That's a decent one for him. I kind of like that. Otherwise, it's just Weapon Finesse, which we don't need, or Weapon Specialization Mythic. Let's do that. Get a bonus to half your mythic rank on damage rolls. This stacks with the bonus from Weapon Special. Let's do that. Let's give him that. Otherwise, it's improved critical with the S-Doc. I think I'd rather have the extra damage. This is going to be affected every time he hits. Okay, so Ember then. Oh my goodness. What do I do with Ember? I got to look that up again. So Ember has a couple of neat choices here. You can give her an extra mythic ability and get her to Greater Abundant Casting. Or, this is kind of cool. This is recommended in the build that I got. I got Ember's build off a YouTube video because I was having a hard time figuring out how to build her. And you can take Sorcerer's Reflex and cast the first spell after an initiative roll as a swift action. If that spell is either a first level or is at least 2 levels lower than the maximum level of spells you can cast. So if she can cast 9th level spells, then it would be level 6, at least 2 levels lower. So it would be that, which would be pretty cool. It would allow her to do get some spells off faster. So I really like that, because with the real time with pause, that's one of the things is she frequently is a little behind on casting spells. So that'd be cool. For me, Lich, I won't be a Lich for much longer. Look at my character. How badass is this guy? He's awesome. Okay, a bunch of choices here. And this is actually really easy at this point in time. You grab Improved Critical for the Kukris. Just smack down stuff. And then Lich Powers, which I won't have for long. So, Negative Energy Mastery. Interesting. Okay. Not going to do that, but I wanted to see. Well, this kind of becomes easy after going through them. There's some really cool ones in here. Fear Control is neat. Lich gains a +4 profane bonus to attack and a +1 profane bonus per mythic rank to damage against frightened creatures or ones under any mind affecting effects. Additionally, all enemies within 10 feet of Lich must make a will saving throw or become shaken until the end of combat. That's really cool. That is like really, really neat. But Tainted Sneak Attack more fits my character. Whenever you land a successful sneak attack, the enemy must pass a Fortitude saving throw or become tainted. A tainted creature is vulnerable to all weapons and elemental damage, as well as suffers a -2 penalty on all attack rolls and weapon damage rolls until the end of combat. And additionally, the Lich's sneak attack damage is increased by 1d6. I love that. Weapon of Death. Lich can enchant items he wears with Bane Living and nullify special abilities. If a creature is killed with a weapon of death, all creatures in a 15-foot radius suffer a penalty on caster level checks made to overcome spell resistance and Withering Life. When a living creature takes damage from a spell that the cast, I'm not a spellcaster, so Tainted Sneak Attacks. That's really fun. I like that. Oh my gosh. And then there's this. Yeah. Okay. Protection from spells. This is what level 8? What do I have for level 8? I have Mind Blank, which is +8 resistance on saving throws against mind affecting spells. So yeah, it would make sense for me to grab protection from spells. +8 resistance bonus on saving throws against spell and spell-like abilities. At 10 minutes per level. Oh, that's nice. And then what kind of level 9 spell do we want to have? We have Mind Blank, Communal, and Summon Monster. So is there anything else in here? That would be... Tsunami is awesome. We're not really a conjurer, but still. You can take... Wow. You can change form once each round as a free action. That's interesting. Shades. Spell functions like Shadow Conjuration, except that it mimics conjuration spells at 8th level or lower. Wow. Foresight. Spell grants you a powerful 6th sense. Once Foresight is cast, you receive instantaneous warnings of impending danger. You are never flat-footed. In addition, the spell gives you a general idea of what action you might take to best protect yourself. Gives you a +2 insight bonus to AC on reflex saves. I'm liking that, so let's do that. Remember, we're buff ourselves and then melee, so all of those things, very, very good. So before I proceed, I want to strongly recommend that people make a save right here, because what comes next is something that you will probably want to go through several times to try to get a more optimal ending. So let's go through the portal. I mean, we're as ready as we're going to be. Approach the portal. Yes. Alright. We're on our way. The route marked on the map connects Alinthia and Calafir with a black line. It is straight and steadfast, just like the commander himself, determined to catch and slay his enemy, Hepzibah, Baphomet's daughter, at all costs. The commander's crew looks impressive and menacing. A gang of hardened skywolves and experienced aeronauts, handpicked by Nocticula. Even the ship itself has the predatory silhouette of a military craft, not to mention a stockpile of supplies and formidable arsenal. The voyage is only just underway, but the commander and his crew are already facing their first challenge. Having spotted the lone ship, a flock of harpies rise from the coastal rocks. Armed with hooked talons and carnivorous grins, they rush upward, squawking. Eerie, harmonious, and enchanting songs fill the air. The gazes of some sailors go blank as they cast away their lines and walk unsteadily toward the ship's broadside to step into the void, where the sweet-voiced songstresses are waiting for them. Chase the harpies off with weapon fire and battle cries. Even for an experienced archer, hitting a nimble harpy in midair is no mean feat, but somehow the crew manages to strike down several well-aimed shots. The screams of fury drown out the enchanting songs, and the crew drives the winged predators away from the ship. With shrieks of disappointment, they continue circling in the distance for a while, but then head off in search of less dangerous prey. Every time I think of harpies, I think of The Witcher 3. Many creatures consider malice and belligerence to be contagious diseases. In the abyss, one particular place transmits such quarrels in the air like a noxious miasma. This place is Mahara Island, and the ship is flying right over it. Discord-sowing whispers fill the thoughts of every crew member. Sailors suddenly begin casting hostile glances at each other, while muted but merciless brawls break out here and there with almost zero provocation. Such is the aura of Mahara Island, the heart of malice and disorder, a cauldron of the affliction known as strife. Tension and hostility between the crews seem to grow by the second, and a stabbing seems imminent. For no apparent reason at all, a bloody and violent fight breaks out below decks in the blink of an eye, and then ends just as quickly. The hearts of the victors fell with horror as they gazed at the sight of their comrades' lifeless bodies at their feet. The commander, who was just passing by, barely avoids a pointless death at the hand of a cleaver-brandishing sailor. Had the blade swung a few inches closer, it would have buried itself in his heart. Having reaped her bloody harvest from the ship, Mara mercifully releases it from her grasp. Infuriated, the captain of Nocticula's ship draws his weapon and personally executes the combatants who dared to wound his guest. Oh, well. A hurricane of enormous proportions rages towards the ship, threatening to crush the boat like an eggshell. A whirlwind rips a gaping sailor from the tackle and tears him apart in midair. The winds catch the ship and draw it into a deadly dance. The elemental embrace lasts for hours, days, or maybe months. Within the stormy darkness and the chaos of crashing salty waves, mere moments seem like an eternity. It feels as if the wild winds have subdued even time itself, twisting it into a bizarre spiral. The commander can barely make out the dark shape of the island called Alir below, offering a chance that the ship might seek refuge there. But what dangers might await the vessel on land? Would it be smarter to make a valiant attempt to drive the ship through the elements? So we succeeded at this diplomacy check, barely. A fierce battle rages around the ship. On one side, predatory plants unleash volleys of thorns, waves of suffocating pollen, and the grasping vines eager to drag anyone not nimble enough into the thicket. On the other side, screaming sailors chop mercilessly at the entangling vines and bark-armored branches. The ship is surrounded by a mess of chopped plants, and the sailors eagerly cut the hard roots binding the vessel to the soil. They work skillfully and ruthlessly, and before long the vessel rises into the air again, carrying away the commander and his depleted crew, drenched in blood and plant sap. An outbreak of an epidemic in the close quarters of an airship is a calamity that can easily turn any vessel into a flying mortuary, grimly cruising the airstreams. Unsurprisingly, the crew is horrified when they notice the first signs of disease spreading on board. In the morning, many sailors find themselves unable to rise to their feet. The afflicted are racked by a merciless fever, and several of the most weakened by the journey have already stopped breathing. Neither spells nor mundane cures seem to help. My lore skill is 17. I can establish a field hospital. And diplomacy, plus 39. Shows the best character for this action. Oh yes, throw a wild drinking party to boost morale. Okay. Go Ember. Wow. Roll 16 plus 39. Having tempted the crew into a drinking party, the commander accidentally discovers a miracle cure. In the midst of the spree, the sailors gather all the booze on board and pour it into a huge barrel where it mixes and bubbles. The resulting monstrous cocktail not only produces staggering drunkenness, but also effectively drives out the disease that had been gripping the ship. Many mages and alchemists would love to study the disinfecting properties of this elixir, but unfortunately by the next morning the barrel has been drained dry. Every aeronaut dreams of distant voyages, gazing upon wonders and collecting a bounty after arriving at their destined port, but no one ever dreams of fighting harpies, monstrous storms, carnivorous plants, or invisible but deadly diseases. The crew is tired, rancorous, and craving an opportunity to unleash their anger. Brandishing their cleavers, they surround the commander. Not all of them, of course, but enough to pose a genuine threat. Clutching his saber, the captain threatens the sailors with the wrath of the Lady of Shadow, but they are too tired or too angry to listen to him. Nocticula herself would have to appear on deck to cow the desperate skywolves into submission. My intimidate skill is a 19, my diplomacy is a 19, and my athletic skill is a +4. Okay, intimidate. Draws weapons and graphically describes what kind of retribution the mutineers will face. Chose the intimidation check. On one of these many times through, managed to roll 18. It's the same as the diplomacy check. It's the same skill. You can see I have a +21 skill value because I put on a charisma hat. Anyway, commander's harsh words send a chill creeping down the spine of every mutineer, and their eyes dart about frantically as if they hear death itself sharpening its claws. Terrified, the mutineers scatter around the ship, leaving all thoughts of revolt behind. Cauliflower is in sight. However, this is not the end of the expedition, not for the commander. After all, journeys end in a safe port where the fortunate survivors may heal their wounds, quench their thirst, and drink away their loot. Cauliflower promises nothing of the sort. It's all grim rocks, gloomy caves, and the horrible creatures lurking within. One such creature notices the ship and takes flight. The beast is an umbral dragon, its scarlet eyes sparkling rapaciously, its jaws open hungrily, and the airship seems a convenient snack for the monster. My perception is 31 checked, so it tries to land the ship as soon as possible. My perception check failed because I rolled a 3. I was a little frustrated, so I just clicked because I thought the same thing was going to happen that happens on all the other failures at all the other steps along the way, but it's not true. It says what happens on the deck after it cannot be called a fight. It's a massacre. The sailors' weapons bounce off the dragon's scales, but its sickle-shaped claws slice through their bodies with ease. The beast tosses the bleeding and screaming chunks of meat into the air, swallowing them with a disgusting purr of satisfaction. Finally, the monster sates its hunger and leaves the battered ship alone. Sounds of the battle carried all over Cauliflower, alerting anyone curious that visitors have arrived on the island. Finally, the ship touches the ground, and the commander sets foot on the rocky soil of Cauliflower, Hepzimira's lair. Okay, so here's the thing. This took almost a half an hour of reloads and reloads and reloads. each time you fail one of those steps along the way of the diplomacy checks and all that jazz, you end up in a jail cell with all of your gear stripped from you. Yes, it is the most hated, personally by me, quest in all of computer role-playing games. We're going to throw you in jail and take all your gear quest. I don't know about you, but this is a lot of gear to remember to put on your companions when you finally get all your gear back. I did not want to go through that step, which is why I said you should save before you go into this portal in case you need to do like I did and spend 26 minutes saving and reloading and reloading and reloading and reloading and doing dice rolls to try to get to this point. This is where I'm going to say the game is at its worst, is with these kinds of things. Just have a paragraph of text and transition me to this point right here. Let me land safely. I don't need all of those dice rolls that can turn into the worst quest ever made of all time, by far the worst, the in jail with none of your gear quest. I can't abide that. The dude does not abide that. I hate that quest. And every video game wants to do it, and it drives me bananas. Skyrim did it. Witcher 3 did it. Everybody does it. I don't ever want to see that quest ever again. So we're here, some sailors, and a captain. We are proud to be of service to Our Lady in Shadow. It was our honor to bring you here at her request. So we're here. So this is where we're going to leave this episode. This episode 69. You know what? This is incredible that it's my luck. Episode 69 should have been good. Don't you all agree? It should have been like the best episode. And this was the worst one. This had the worst example of just next to Galfrey's meltdown when you leave the Midnight Fane, and just the plot heavy mechanics of how they make her do a 180 as a character. This is the next worst example of the writing in the game. Everything that happened between Nocticula and Aurilu, and then all of this dice rolling to get to this island without ending up in jail and losing all of our gear. So deep breath. Not going to rage quit. But that's why I said before you step through that portal, make a save. Be prepared to reload it many times if you don't want to have to deal with the horror of being in jail and losing all your gear like I do. If you don't want to do that, make a save. Persist. Put on some good music. Put on a podcast and just start reloading and clicking through the dice rolls. Also, make sure you do what I did, which is I put on the best charisma hat that I had. It helps to have a character who can have some amount of persuasion, so it's 21 by default. If anything, the end of the game here is why I recommend you put points in persuasion so you don't have to deal with this. I'm going to get my headband of vast intelligence back on now. It's just, it should have been better than this. And it shouldn't have been this bad, but it is. So, folks, that's where we're at. Episode 69 is in the books. We're going to get back to the fun part of the game. And we're going to abandon these not so fun parts. See you all next time. As always, questions, comments down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and consider joining my Patreon. I'll see you all next time. Happy gaming, everyone. Thanks for watching.